Yo, what's happening everybody? King GBL here, and welcome back to a brand new Go Bat League video. Today I'm showcasing one of the best Great League teams moving forward with Carbink. You've seen me showcase this team with Trevenant. I think this team with Medicham is as good if not better than with Trevenant. Trevenant, it's a very alignment based Pokemon, but the amazing thing of course about Medicham, and why it is so overpowered, is that it has a lot of play against even its worst counters. Even against, things like, let's say Alolan Ninetales. The Psychics hit super hard and this Pokemon can do very well. Whereas with Trevenant, if you get a Noctowl, you're basically screwed. This team of course consists of Carbink. I think, now that the Great League remix is gone, you're going to start seeing a lot more Carbink in the Open Great League. And I just want to showcase a team that I think might be quite strong, a team that you guys might have to look out for. There's going to be quite a lot of teams like this. The most common and probably most powerful team from last season was just Medicham, Noctowl and Lantern. Super powerful and OP team. And I think we actually faced that team in this video with this team. And of course it doesn't say that, this team is better than that team, but pretty much this team does beat that team in any order of those three Pokemon, whether it be Noctowl lead, even though of course Noctowl lead is pretty bad. You have two answers to Noctowl. Both of your back Pokemon, Registeel and Carbink, do fine against Lantern. Of course Lantern's a little bit less favourable for Carbink. In comes Charizard, and the opponent's in for a nasty surprise here. Of course Carbink's going to come in and farm it down. Let me know guys what you think, the best team is with this. You could do this a number of different ways. I think the Trevenant team is super strong, because Trevenant covers the weaknesses of Carbink super well. It beats all of the Mud Boys, all of ground types, of course water, and everything that you would have to worry about. Or of course you can go for this team. Medicham is just such a good generalist. In this match right here, I decided to go for the Ice Punch to get a shield off the opponent, and since they have a Bastiodon in the lead, I decided to come in here with Carbink. I do end up shielding this, which it's obviously going to be an Acid Spray. I do be afraid of the Leaf Blade, to be honest with you, because it would pretty much come very close to one-shotting me from that range, so that's why I do respect the damage there. But basically, as long as we take alignment against this team, for the most part, that's what this team is dependent on, so yeah, if you get that sort of lead, I don't think it's a bad idea throwing the move. Now they have a Medicham in the back, they're going to go for Power Punch, which makes this a little bit more awkward. Makes it more difficult to win this in the Zero Shield, because of course they can just counter you down. Typically, if you're Medicham in this situation, and if you don't have Power Punch, you do go for Psychic. Right here though, I am actually going to call this bait, I think. Yeah, we let the Power Punch go, and we're going to go for the Psychic. I do end up CMPing, this is only going to be another Power Punch, so the opponent's kind of messing up here. However, I want you to pay attention to the opponent's animations here, just have a little watch here, watch the opponent's animations. They actually, I think, wait a turn here, yep, they waited a turn, and then went for the catch. So annoying, bro. So annoying, and that actually might come back to bite me, because they're going to get a farm down on this thing. Now, the hardest hitting move left in the game is going to be a Flamethrower from Basti. They did get, a little bit ahead, and what I need to do in this situation now is go for a perfect undercharge. The thing is, I'm not really good at undercharging this Pokemon. I overcharge this way too much. I decided to go for a Great, that's just going to one-shot it. The opponent's got a Power Punch loaded, and they're going to be able to counter down Reggie. So in that situation, how could I have played that better? Well, I think at the start, my thinking in bringing Carbink is because, I know their team, right? It's Power Punch Medicham, it's Bastiodon, and it's Victreebel. All three of those Pokemon are bad for Carbink, pretty much. Carbink is okay against Medicham, not that great though with Power Punch. So I decided I want to get some usage out of that Pokemon. I think maybe whenever I came in with a Registeel versus the other thing, I could have just came in with Medicham and looked to maybe like chip it down, get shields off the opponent, try to land a Psychic on the Medi, and then you have a full health Reggie for the Basti, which is a very, very positive matchup. I think it's even more positive for Reggie than it is for Medi. So I think that was probably the play. In this match right here, the opponent has a Venusaur, and we're going to get shields off it, which is amazing. They do get a farm down, but that's perfectly fine. We've got an Ice Punch loaded, and we're going to look to either get this super low or get the opponent's final shield. Now, I can probably just counter this down, so I'm going to shield up once here, and look to come out with energy. We don't really need to take Switch, because of course Umbreon is really good for both of these Pokemon, so like if I swap out, Umbreon comes back in, and it's just game over for the opponent here. Let me know what you think the most powerful Carbink team will be, and also let me know if you're going to be getting it in GoFest. If you're not aware of this yet, in GoFest, you'll have raids to be able to do, right? And it'll just be like a 2-star raid, it says. I'm not really familiar with 2-star raids too much, but yeah, it's a 2-star raid, and you probably will be able to solo it. So let me know if you're going to get it. I think it is kind of course, crappy that not everybody has access to this Pokemon, only people who paid for the ticket has it now. So, apologies if you're watching this video and you're like, I don't have Carbink, but I think this is just something to watch out for. I think this video should be like pretty informational for you, of things that you need to watch out for and try to build against, as opposed to build for at the moment. But here in a couple of weeks, like in about a month or so, 3-4 weeks, We will have Go Fest and we will have Carbink and raids. If you're looking to build your own Carbink, I would highly recommend trading it with a friend, or like if you're out in Go Fest, you know, have a look for some trainers, see if anybody wants to trade some Carbinks with you. Because even with an attack weighted Carbink, it is really good. But again, as I mentioned in a previous video, you would much prefer to have the bulk over the extra attack. I think just living like an extra couple of Shadow Claws from a Sableye, because you know it's a very positive matchup for Carbink. But generally what you would like to do with that match is pretty much like maybe rock slide at once and farm it the whole way down, or even just try to commit to a full farm down. Having that extra bulk, I think it's going to be so much more beneficial than having the attack, which of course gives you breakpoints against things like Sand Slash and other things in the meta, which can make this matches a little bit more comfortable. The opponent's just in an absolute shambles here. We're catching foul plays on Carbink. There's not really much they can do here. We'll almost one-shot them with Moonblast, and this is going to be a good game. But I think teams to watch out for with this Pokemon is, let's say for example, Carbink lead. I don't think Carbink lead is going to be that popular, because we get a lot of leads like this, a lot of Azumarill leads, a lot of fighters in the lead. I've started seeing a lot more Swamperts today, since the Great League Remix is gone, and a lot of the Carbink users will be in the Great League now. Carbink in the Fossil Cup will not really be that useful, because it's basically countered by like 90% of the meta, so you will start seeing Carbinks in the Open Great League this week. So I don't think you're going to see it in the front. If you were going to run it in the front, you would need to have two answers to basically like Swampert in the back, which like having grass types in the back and like swapping in grass types, it's just never great. So I don't expect to see that too much. So if you're looking to build against Carbink, you probably have Mudboys in the back, or Medichams, or whatever your favorite counter is in the back. I think the way to play this Pokemon correctly is to use something to draw out a counter to it. I use Registeel in this case to draw out a counter to Carbink. So like usually I'm drawing out a Medicham, I'm playing out the zeros, getting a shield off the opponent or taking it in the zeros, as long as they don't have Power Punch, trying to gain some sort of an advantage where my lead Pokemon can come back in, clean up that counter, and then look to sweep with Carbink. It's a super broken strategy, and like you see here, like opponents are just top lefting. There's just nothing they can do if they don't have two answers to it. So that's most likely going to be the configuration you see. I'm wondering how the Bastiodon team will like adapt with a Carbink. So you could use a Carbink instead of Bastiodon in that team, or you could do like an ABB Bastiodon team, where you like, let's say safe swap Carbink to draw out the counter, like draw out a Swampert. So what I just checked there is if it's a non-Shadow Swampert in the Zero Shield, you need to go land the Earthquake. If you're using a Shadow Swampert against Carbink, you can go for double Hydro to take it out. So if you're using a non-Shadow Swampert, the Carbink will be able to get off a Moonblast. And I feel like with Quagsire it'll be similar. I feel like two Mud Bombs would just about take out Carbink, if it's like a rank 1 or whatever. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. If you're using a non-Shadow Swampert and you want to like one-shot it, or like win it in the Zero Shield, you will have to go for Earthquake. But what have we got here? I really like this matchup with Reggie. The opponent's going for Ice Punch, which is not the correct move. You need to go for Psychic. Psychic's the only way to sort of take this in the Zero Shield. So we're just maintaining shield advantage here. We can probably come back in with our own Medi. Yep, in comes like a tongue here, and we're going to catch a move here on Stinker. Good catch, love to see it. We're going to basically farm this down. It's going to leave us maybe like 5 or 6 Rock Throws off Moonblast, and at this point, I think the opponent might even just top left here. They come in, throw a move. I think I might shield the Psychic. The opponent's got a ton of energy. Or do I try to get off the move or go for the farm down? Yeah, I think I'm trying to get rid of it before it gets to another move. The Psychics, as you can see, are not pleasant, and we can't take it out. In comes a Charm A9, and I think I almost throw this game. So we throw this in good timing. The opponent, I think, here is on 5 Powder Snows. So what I want to do... Oh, okay, this is the one where I've got Psychic, never mind. Yeah, they were just on 5, so they wouldn't have got to the move. There was a match later on in the video where I completely mess that match up and almost lose it. Deoxys lead here. A pretty, like, awkward lead for Medicham. It's pretty awkward for the whole team. But generally, though, Deoxys has 2 weak Pokemon in the back to counter. Now, what we can do here is win the Zero Shield, fire off this move. Does this one-shot? I'm pretty sure it won't completely one-shot, but they may want to shield this nonetheless. We'll just fire off this Focus Blast, get a shield off the opponent, and look to come in and get ahead on energy. Now, I make an interesting play in this match. I actually throw a move on this thing, because they're basically going to be able to get off multiple things. And also, I've got like a ton of energy, so go for an undercharge and look to commit to the farm down here, I think. I get the defense drop, which is nice, and we should be leaving here with just a ton of energy. Generally, like, the way this match plays out is you need to throw an Ice Punch so that they can't get off free. If they get off free, it gets very dicey. And so we're coming back in with Deoxys here again, and this is a little bit better now. Like, we've got Ice Punches. I just sort of decide to almost store an Ice Punch. Now, right here, the opponent decides to fire a move. I probably should no-shield this, but I'm thinking I might be weak to this in the back, so I want to maintain some health on it. We're just going to go for Rock Slide, because I know the opponent has some residual energy, and if the opponent allows us to here, we can go for Farm Down. Now once again, I'm thinking, do I want to keep health on this thing? I decide the answer is yes, and in comes Ninetales. It was the correct move to go ahead and shield that. We're starting to see Charm and Ninetales in the back. I think this is the one where I messed this up, almost. Yeah, so in comes that move, and I think what I look to do is go for an Ice Punch on this thing. They would have been at a Weather Ball right here, so I was trying to catch a potential Weather Ball. We get some counters through, and they're on 1 HP, and they've got a Psyshock. Ladies and gents, I threw this match, or so I thought. Carbink is too thick, and in comes the Oxys, and we farm that down as well. I cannot believe I won that match, and this is with like a 13 attack one. Wait until people start using the rank 1. This thing is too broken, honestly. I wouldn't mind seeing this Pokemon just get nerfed, because it's just too broken. In this game, we get a good lead, and we have a Drapion here. I go for the Psychic, which, for some stupid reason, I forgot that this is double resisted on the Dark. I'm thinking, like, okay, it's Poison and Dark, right? So I throw, like, the single resisted Psychic, which probably does more raw damage, but, like, I have no need for that whatsoever. I'm gonna have to throw a move on Registeel anyway. That was stupid. Like, straight up, that was stupid. I need to just come in with Reggie and go for this. Now I'm going for a slight undercharge to try and get a bit of a farm down. The opponent shields it, which is quite surprising. And I think what I might elect to do here is come back in with Medi and go for a farm down. So definitely, we're seeing some misplays in this match. Medi's going to come in. We're going to have to eat a crunch. I'm not willing to eat it, so we're going to go ahead and shield up here. We're on 1-to-1 shields. In comes Charizard. In comes the Stinky Boy, and man, like, per Charizard, I love Charizard in the Great League, but this thing is just dead now with Carbink. It's just rough for it. So we'll see what we do here. Back in comes Swampert. This game's not over yet, because we've got pretty low health on our Medi, and we do really need that Medi to deal with the Swampert. So yep, Moonblast coming through. The opponent's over farming here, and I think we're in Hydro range at this point. Again, if this is the rank 1, you know, this would be a little bit more comfortable. The opponent dumps off another Hydro, and they farmed up so much, I thought they were like 2 or 3 off, but I'm an insta-throwing Andy! I am an insta-throwing Andy here today, folks. I'm throwing Psychics on bloody Drapions. We get an extra counter free, but 1, 2, yeah, they're 2 off. Super annoying, bro. If I was like really in the zone with counting there, and like, why am I even throwing a Psychic anyway? Like, that was just terrible. Bastiodon lead, and I think what we look to do here is get a shield off the opponent, go for Psychic, we do outpace, and we do deny the opponent. That's what I always talk about. Throw the move first to deny the opponent potentially. In comes this thing. The opponent's gonna have moves. I shouldn't have to shield anything here. Psychic coming through, which will do the most raw damage. They must be an Ice Punch. I think that, is this an Ice Punch or is it another Psychic? The opponent did have a lot of energy. Psychic number 2 coming through. As you can see, we can eat 2 Psychics on all the counters, and this is not even a highly ranked one. It's just disgusting, this Pokemon. And the good thing is, the opponent's countered us down quite a lot, so we're getting quite low. I would like to get off a Moonblast here if I could. Yeah, I was committing to it. I ended up trying to throw the Rock Slide, but it's fine. So this team right here, it's either going to be Sableye or Victory Bell, and it is Sableye. Sableye's been quite a popular line for this recently, so I want to come in with Reggie because it's good against both of them Pokemon. Whereas if like Sableye comes in against my Medi or Victory comes in against my Medi, it's going to be a little bit awkward. So I make the correct play here, and at this point, I think I might even just swap out here, yeah. I can eat any move on this thing. The opponent needs to throw a return, but they're not at it. Foul Play coming through. We can actually look to Ice Punch it here. I wouldn't mind actually just letting them take me out and just farm it down with the thing, but yeah, they're throwing energy. They're insta-throwing Andys too here, apparently. We're all insta-throwing Andys or in this elo. If you're curious about my elo, I got up to 2708 today, and then with this team, I just got hard countered. Like, after I recorded this video, I got hard countered pretty bad and dropped down to about 2650 again. So tomorrow I'm hoping to make a push to Expert, and we're actually facing off against a Legend player. We're going to RPS this Legend player here, hopefully, and what I'm looking to do is catch a move. I know that Carbink can just absorb so much energy here, so I want to get a bit of an energy head start on Medi. There's absolutely no risk in doing so, and yeah, look at this thing. Again, like, the thing about this match in the Zero Shield is if you let every move go, like, they're starting to get us quite low here, so I decide to throw one before the next Foul Play, and look to take them out and try to get off a move on the Sandslash. Sandslash leads are another reason why I decided to switch to Medi. The Sandslash leads with a Trevenant lead just core breaks your whole team. You just pretty much can't win. So I was sick of having that situation where I literally can't win against the Sandslash lead, because they always have this sort of team of Sableye in the back or something like that. So that's kind of why I switched out to Medi as well, just so that the game's not super RPS. Now right here, this game really annoyed me today, so I'm going to tell you guys something, right? Watch what happens here. So I swap into Reggie. Now right here, the opponent's going to throw off a Shadow Ball, right? It's pretty obvious that I'm going to shield this, right? No, because the game, I literally tapped on shield, and the game did not shield. I was so pissed. The game was doing some really weird stuff for me today. Like, I played my first set of the day in Fossil Cup, and like, I had okay matchups, but the game kept like not allowing me to throw charge moves and not allowing me to swap out, and it was really unresponsive, which is super annoying. I don't know if it's just the game being the game or whatever, but super annoying. I don't want to get farmed down, so swap into midi and go for an ice punch, which will get them super low, and we need to basically commit to the counter down. The opponent's up to like back-to-back seed bombs here. We have to shield one of these basically, and we're going to have to try and farm this thing down. A seed bomb from this range will take us out. Can we get a few counters through? We get one counter through, and this is a race to the lock on down. We lock on this thing down on 1 HP, even though the game was trying to mess me up by not letting me shield. You know, I'm not calling any conspiracy theories here, by the way. I'm just saying that this game's broken sometimes. We're not being conspiracy theorists here today, folks. We're just saying that sometimes the game is quite broken, and that was one of those occasions. But I managed to lock on down, and you love to see it. As soon as I see a Lantern lead, I automatically assume that it's going to be Medicham and Noctowl in the back, so we'll see how this plays out. In order for Lantern to win, they need to land a Thunderbolt. In order for us to win, we need to land a Psychic, generally. Or, you know, the counters do more damage, so shielding the Thunderbolt is usually quite a good sort of indication that you're going to take this matchup, right? Because as you can see, they're getting super low with the counters, and we can just start probably throwing off Ice Punches. I expect the opponent to let this go here at this stage, so I throw the Psychic. They do shield it, and they do unfortunately get the defense drop. Super lucky in my part here. I'm going to throw an Ice Punch because it'll chip it down very low. And at this point, like, Lantern is what I'm expecting to be the hardest counter to my back Pokemon. There could be, of course, a thing in the back, so I decided to come in with Reggie. We're up a shield, and as you guys know, you win this in the Zero Shield versus Medi. They do get off a Surf, which is absolutely fine, and we're going to come out here with almost a Focus Blast, which is beautiful. In comes Noctowl. I mean, there's not really a whole lot they can do at this stage. Boom. I guess they're just trying to like eat the energy and sacrifice it and try to sweep with Medi. But yeah, this thing's not going to have it, folks. Like I said, this team, you pretty much beat it in like any scenario. Typically, like, the Medicham is in the back in this team, and quite often they do have Power Punch in the back. So like, you don't always see this team with Medi in the front. It's pretty rare to see it in the front, to be fair. It's usually either Noctowl or Lantern in the front. You do see it, but I would say definitely most commonly it is Lantern. So like, as long as you can sort of halfway deal with Lantern, your back two Pokemon should be able to be fine there, I would say. Rock Slide coming through. I'm BMing the opponent here by no shielding or by no bubbling it, and that's a good game. So yeah, you're seeing that super like meta team from last season getting taken out by this one. So we've got a Medicham versus Medicham. This is where we need to see it, so I'm happy enough to stay in here. Now, because of my thing, I lose CMP, but the opponent goes for the catch. We're going to overfarm as much as possible here. Could have overfarmed by one more, but the moral of the story is we can eat like 3 blast burns on this thing. And the opponent top lefts. Good game. They had Noctowl in the back, probably, because that's a pretty common team. I actually hate that team. It's a really risky team. Shadow Swampert, once again, this is where we need to see it. And now I'm going to farm up here just to one before they get to back-to-back Hydros. If you're going to shield, just shield the first one. Fire this off. They're just at the move now. If I overfarmed by one more, they could have CMP'd me. Boom, we land the Ice Punch. And I'm counting, so I know this is just a Hydro. And with Swampert out of the way, that's pretty much our hardest counter to our back two Pokemon out of the way. In comes Altaria. I could have just swapped straight out here, but I thought I could get a shield off the opponent. Oh yeah, of course. And in comes Carbink. We're just forcing them out. And in comes Sandslash. Quite an interesting team. The opponent's going for an overfarm. I'm happy enough to apply this damage instantly. The opponent pretty much has to shield it, but they don't. But then again, if they do shield it, their Dragonite's kind of screwed in the back. The opponent goes for back-to-back here. I can live one of these for sure, and look to go for a farm down. Pretty simple stuff here. Yeah, you let the first one go because you can live it, and they might go for the Ice Punch bait, but they have no real reason to be in that situation anyway. Rock Slide coming through, of course the Dragonite will shield it up, and we're going to look to go for an unnecessary catch on Medicham here, just to flex on the opponent. I was definitely BMing a little bit. They go for a nice undercharge, but it's not going to make a difference. They have to superpower me, and look how low they are. You're going to see this Dragon Claw coming through is not going to be enough to take us out. From a Shadow Dragonite, a Dragon Claw does not take us out from that low health, and that's a good game. Yeah, they definitely need to nerf this Pokemon, honestly. Like, the moves it has, it's the problem with it, I think. Now we get a very negative lead here, so how can we overcome this? I try to go for a catch and Stinker, try to catch the Shadow Ball. We will have to go ahead and eat a Surf here. If the opponent wants to, they can stay in here and just make this a nightmare for us. At this point, I'm pretty much happy to sacrifice this thing. Because yeah, it's looking a little bit tough for Carbink. I think the opponent's going to throw off a move, so I decided to throw the rock slide just to chip this thing. But at this point, like, we've got it pretty low, and it's now in a range where Medi can deal with it, so I'm thinking, like, that's probably the hardest Medi counter out of the way, so Medi should be fine here. I actually might come in for a lock-on down. I'm not sure here, but I probably will come in for the counter down. Oh yeah, so I did come in for the lock-on down, and in comes Toxapex, the insta-swap. But they stored a ton of energy, which I'm going to have to watch out for later on. Boom, we're going to go for the Zap Cannon, and yeah, one Zap Cannon does not KO this thing, and you can't quite lock on it down either. So it's a little bit awkward here with Reggie. So what I like to do is farm up to 100 energy, and then go for a Zero Bubble Focus Blast. I've done this match a few times, and I'm very familiar with this undercharge. This works pretty much every time, just Zero Bubble this, or actually do a couple bubbles if you want to. I could have done Zero Bubbles, because as you can see, they'd still survive that with a couple of bubbles. In comes Dedenne, and I decided to YOLO the Psychic. I probably should go for Ice Punch here, because the opponent's going to shield everything on this little thing. But I just like YOLOing the moves. It's probably a bad thing. Discharge coming through, I respect the player off, and we're going to look to go for a bait this time. Will the opponent call it, or will they decide to invest their final shield? They call it. Amazing call by the opponent. And they do have a move here. I was tempted to call the Surf Bait here, but okay, it is the Surf Bait. And I am a little bit afraid, so I decided for the Ice Punch. If the opponent shields this, we get a counter down, which is pretty good. And what we're going to do here is look to go for a catch on the player off. Please be the player off. Please don't be using Discharge. Boom. We do catch the player off. And can we get to the move in time? We just about do. Now, I'm expecting the opponent to shield this, so like I'm not really like focusing on the bubbles that much. The opponent lets it go. I don't know why. They would have been able to farm me down and player off the Medi. So I'm very lucky that the opponent let that go, and that's a good game. Guys, hope you enjoyed. Sorry for, like I said, uploading Carbink for like 3 videos or 4 videos in a row. I am trying to gain an elo at the moment, so do let me know if that's a little bit, you know, a little bit annoying or whatever, but hopefully you learned something new. You know, whether we like it or not, this is what the Great League's going to be like going forward. So it's probably a good thing to see as much gameplay from this Pokemon as possible, and try to learn what you can do against it, or what it can do against you. So hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you very much everybody for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you all tomorrow for a brand new video.